Hello, everybody. What is going on? Where am I? Just getting in from supper. Oh, yes. So, the kitty cat disappeared yesterday evening. Praise be to God. No, the cat was pretty cool. Now, I haven't had an animal since Louise, and it kind of broke my heart, having little Louise could be gone. But, when I come into this place, they said, "You don't have a pet, do you?" I said, "No, I don't have a pet." Well, I had it. I told them at that time I had some fish and some birds. So I said, "Cool." Well, everyone that's moved into this place, I was like, they all have dogs. Everybody has dogs, So I wonder what it was. Maybe I just said, I could have told them I have a dog, and they said, "Okay, it's cool." But anyways, the cat just kind of tore the whole place up, and she'd run around. I have all these little floor rugs, and they're all messed up. I always have to fix everything up. She tore it through here, making such a big mess. And she'd find the crevices in my bed and play and all. It actually was really cute. I thought it was good. There was not one place in this little rooms of mine, this apartment, that she wasn't in. Between here and my kitchen next door, everything. She's like everything. But anyways, she's gone. And she was fun. It was fun. Have a little animal playing around. It's cute. All right, so I don't know why I was telling about that. I guess I miss her. Because I look around and look to see if she's around. She's not. Or in these stories, she's usually jumping around somewhere in the background. Well, I've been reading in this book here in Proverbs. Now, I want to go a little further. Excuse me. I wanted to get to some guts real fast, so I moved on to chapter 7. All right. This is usually the time when, shit hits the fan on channel 7 or channel 7 on number 7. And this is usually where, brimstones, this is the day of the Lord. All right. And, what we have to remember here is he keeps talking to his son, and his son who beloved him so well, and in his mother's eyes and sights. This is before the New Testament. Okay. This is all part of the Old Testament. This is about Solomon. So this book of instructions is what you've got to look at Proverbs as. You're being spoken to by God. Okay. This is a God speaking to him. All right. And he said, "You, my son, that I love dearly." And that's you and me, and basically it's because it's the spiritual side. It's going to be the son, whether you're a male or a female, because it's coming from the left side of your mind. And it's going to be a pulse of a male energy. Okay. So, because, our brains are exactly the same, yours and mine, the boys and girls. All right. And so one of the battlements in religion is this duality thing between good and bad, and or a good and evil. All right. And they make it out like there's a good God and a bad God. Okay. But this is what I get out of whenever I go back and listen to religions and or studying up on something like I've heard today about Catholicism, and which is kind of like what you and I are. They're a type of Gnostic crowd, but I couldn't tell that they had any secrets out of what I read in Wikipedia. But they all stem from this place called Mani, or this Mani, M-A-N-I. And when I heard his story, it kind of sounds like me. But, in a way, I don't know how or why I set myself in his position or in their position. But he was found quoted and there's only pieces of this work around. But this Mani, some kind of a religion, that's Christ oriented, in that he was sent out to teach the word of Christ. Like he quoted, like, there was, Jesus and and Moses and then there's some, I guess there was one of Muhammad's followers or something like that, and then there's, or Jesus like person in Muhammad's world, and then there's and then there's me for this generation or something like that. And he eventually was, had followers come around him and stuff like that. And later on, he became some kind of a threat to the established church, and he was killed, as well as these Catharists. They had they had an opposite doctrine of that was Catholicism at that time in the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, which pretty much dominated everybody and devised ways of taking money out of your pockets, and taking your tithings and do these things that everybody had church way down, way deep. They were, I mean, it was skin. Well, what it did is he says that the difference between them, which caused the arguments, is that they were saying that the Catholic people were following Satan, that their doctrines, and they were making them all up. He says, and that they were the true Christians. They were the good guys, and they represented what were the elect, which were considered as being connected to God. And so that made me put, I want to hear this. I would like to hear what he's saying, But they weren't allowed to have a place to live. They couldn't own anything. And, it sounded to me like these people, they believed in reincarnation. They didn't believe so much in, when it comes down to like a sex thing, and they would try to get sex, but they would go so far as to, not ejaculate, that they weren't basically into babies making. And this turned them into a type of, that homosexualism was cool in their world. And this was still using these Christian doctrines to work off of. And this was bitter towards the Catholics. And even though it became like, almost like, hey, they put up with it for a while, and then everyone started saying they really like this, and so it's always this battle of who's going to believe this or not. But the idea that, that a religion, an organized religion following God's word, would actually be following Satan. Well, we uncovered that in our situation here, where we dig out of the Bible that we have two ways of reading the book. And that would be that we have the part which would be what we see as the letter, and what we don't see as the spirit. But what we reveal out of this is that we don't get two gods out of this. We get one God still. So I think that this is, see, in all these other faiths that I've been listening to, they keep splitting up these things, making them both the same, but it's not. You are God. All of these stories are leading to us being the gods, but we have some kind of amnesia or something. And so, so here I was just thinking, well, I was picked out of the crowd. I could read this book. I could teach people outside of the parables. Anyone can read someone a parable. They say, I'm Jesus, and start rattling off parable. But they'll say, what does that mean? What does he say? Well, that's crazy. Well, all right, so here's, a new generation of Jesus. I can tell you what the damn thing is saying. That's really cool, but nobody wants to know what's going on. That's what's so funny about this. I would love to be this Jesus. I'd like to be this Messiah. I'd like to be, hey, you guys, look it up. Let's do it, all right? But let's lighten up some of this crap in this world, and no one has to scratch their head. We're talking normal stuff, just plain old normal. No weird things to have to jump over or have to understand. Maybe the idea is that you have to first understand. You have to understand that things were symbolism, or work with symbolism. And through symbolism, we find that there's just this one God that they're talking about. God splits up into two as the Elohim, between mother and father. Gives us the image of him as the right and the left sides of our mind. Making this energy a polarized energy that had something hot on one side and cold on the other, or something dark on one side and light on the other. Whichever way it goes, these are all a one energy that has two different antagonizing energies that are connected together. And that's how it sounds when you attribute yourself to the right and left side of the brain with an arachnoid, or some kind of there is going to be something between the two that they don't mix together. This is where you get Sarai, where she becomes antagonistic and confronting, and she's just not going to be with you. But as soon as you get the breath of God in you, the H, when you get this breath of God, does she become a princess? So this is just a word change, just adding an H to her name, make this into a beautiful situation. And so we're finding that just adding this way to your life, now these are very old. These are very old scriptures, older than we would know, but they're talking about the same God throughout all these other histories of other religions. They're all the same. They are all the same. There is not two gods. There's not an evil God, and there's not a good God. There is just God. And when God is represented in the human being, they are enlightened in a way that both sides of their brain work together as one. And this was achieved by going into meditation, following God's ways and Jesus's way, by taking no thought and birthing the brother, letting the brother loose inside of us as he travels up the chakra system and makes his way to Golgotha, the place of the skull, where this crucifixion happens. And when this happens within your mind, this is above the neck here. You've separated what's above from what's below. We look at this as the sixth chakra. But now you're up in the air in this place. This is theta frequency. We meet Jesus in the air. This is us, we find out, But we find that Jesus is carrying along luggage with him. Jesus is representing your soul, this brother that we let loose when we hang our skin on the cross. And so this is lifting the Son of Man up while you're making meditation, while you are bringing a meditation to life. You are lifting your thoughts above those of the mind. And that shuts down the third chakra, the first and the second. All these three go down. This devil goes to sleep. Our skin is then the two people, the skin and its belief system are both being dragged up there in like some kind of comatose state, right? Being dragged up there by our brother, our child, our soul goes up to do the testifying before God. It is this internal God, this child that's making this journey for us. And he conquers, just like with David and Goliath. David is this young boy going up against this monster, and he takes one stone, puts it in his kundalini, and hits this guy right square in the head, knocks him out. And whilst He is asleep whilst the monster, the outside of you, once the skin, Satan is asleep and down, you know. Once that happens, you know, the horns are broken off. And those places that are made high, those high walls and bars and doors are, and gates are flung open and made level. The walls come tumbling down once you surround them 7 times, blowing trumpets. And now there is no longer a lower ground and a higher ground. There is no longer a division in your house, because mother and father are both joined together, and you have kicked, you've kicked the bitch out of your life, and you swear that you'll never go back to her again. That's how it is. The bitch is something coming from the outside. We want to attach to mother, and this is what these stories in Proverbs is telling us. This is instructions. So I jumped a little bit ahead of time in this here to see what 7 was going to be about, and it's kind of, it speaks of this woman. Starts off speaking of, you know, hey, I want you to meet this gal, you know, but it goes into an extents some kind of business about the bad side. It's all about this lady. It's all about her. It's all about the right side of our brain, the place that we are asked to toss our nets to. And net is a way of thinking. It's a thinking situation. Where am I going to draw my truth from today? Well, ladies and gentlemen, most people just have the left side of their brain to choose from. And that's the side that usually comes up empty, and people come up hungry, people come up desolate, people come up starved. This is this idea that even the animals, the people themselves become something to eat on the left side of our brains. That's how men treat each other. So what we do is to go inside, join mother and father together, and then you're one. You, Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Mom. All 3. Now you got God. Now you're cooking God. It's always been that way. And I think I'm one of the only people that could tell you this and just feel so damn sure about it. Just absolutely sure about this. It matches. It's the way it works. It's you. You are this God. You are them. And more people that could wake up to that and bring light to this world, the better it could be. But I've been speaking plain and simple. I've been talking much on scripture, so this should be like plain old words out of my mouth. You know? So let's see what happens here. Let's minus you down. In Proverbs 7, we get, because like I said, I wanted to go ahead of time. I want to get to the juice of it. 7 is the day of the Lord in most cases. This is when you hook up with mom. This is that day that, something beautiful happens. Okay? My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of your heart. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman, that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. For at the window of my house I looked through my casement, and beheld among the simple ones. I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding, passing through the streets near her corner, and he went the way to her house. In the twilight, in the evening, in the black and the dark night. And behold, there met him a woman with an attire of a harlot, and subtle of heart. She is loud, stubborn, her feet abide not in her house. Now is she without, now in the street, and lieth in wait at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent face said unto him, I have peace offerings with me. This day have I paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee diligently, to see thy face, and have found thee. I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry, with carved works, fine linen of Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh and aloes and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning, till a souls. Let us solace ourselves with loves. For the goodman is not at home. He is gone on a long journey. He had taken a bag of money with him, and will come home at the day appointed. With her much fair speech, she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips, she forced him. He goeth after her straightway, as an ox goeth to the slaughter, as for the fool to the correction of the stocks. Till a dart strike through his silver. Till a dart strike through his silver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O children, and attain to the words of my mouth. Let not thine heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her paths. For she has cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. Boy, that just puts chills down my spine. I'm still got the chills going down. I can feel them on around my knees and stuff like that. Listen, dudes, that's crazy shit. You know, this is talking about our belief system. Believe it or not, and even though it represents the works, here our Bible is telling us, get away from it. Don't do it. Stay away, you know. To her, world is darkness. Well, she's representing the first world. The first world is representing the black horse. It's the darkness, the black. That's how the stories were, oh, mind me, I'm black. You know, this woman talking about being black and makes all these people think, oh yeah, well she was a Negro race. No, she just represents our lower mind. Is all. That's the only thing she represents is our intellect. And like we started out, that actually represents the dark side of the world. You know, that's the darkness, and then the other side is this where the sun comes up. So this is that dark and light. So there's only one God. There's only one God. If you choose to read the Bible and do what His Word is, when He says what's coming out of His mouth, because we're hearing what's coming out of His mouth. That's what those, when they talk about the, those Corinthians or those Catharist people saying that the Catholic people were following Satan. Well, we know that now. We know that now that anybody who follows the Word is following Father, Satan. He comes all by himself, but he represents both male and female people. He's representing the lower mind. What we are trying to do is cut off the lower mind and do what I was telling you, that when this happens, there is no lower mind anymore. And there's no more higher mind anymore. There's just one mind. And that's where you get your higher counsel. This is all we're trying to do. That's all I'm trying to teach, is how to bring about this peace of mind, you know? But, it sounds really cool on the outside, like, oh, all I got to do is meditate and it'll happen. Well, I can't tell you that, because this information is found in our Bible. This truth, between mom, dad, and you being one, this monotheism has been, there's only one God, and it's a man, well, that's you're following Satan. That's that's not together. When they're together, it's God. And with the Son, the person who's housing God, the guy who speaks through where whatever happens with God, whichever happens even with Father, comes through you, the person, and Father is the one that the Son comes against and knocks him out, and while he's knocked out, cuts his head off. All of these are stories of meditation and how to gain this higher side. And once this is your inheritance, right now, Father's running off with it, and we want to try to take it from him. We want to take it back from him. So we devise some way to betray the flesh. And when you betray the flesh, you set in mind the story. Something came from here to say, hey, maybe there's something more here. There's something more to this Bible. It's important. You just don't throw this out with the baptism on, okay? Although you know that it's worthless, But you got to still have gone through it. So I don't think that it's just open to everybody. I think it's only open to those people that truly seek God. It's not some place you can, oh, there it is, I'm there, my third eye's open now, I think that it's, I just don't think so. I just don't think so, I think it's only a few people that can do it, only a few. And so whenever I listen to these other stories, about Manny, these other religious places and these groups, they killed them by the thousands, having contrary belief system to them. This was in the 17th century. That's crazy. Well, it's not too far from now, but I would tell you that, this kind of word getting out that we could connect all the religions together, where right now everyone's afraid of having a one world religion. I would wonder what that one world religion would look like, because, I'm thinking, it was already a one world religion and it's hidden. What can they do? Who can rewrite? What's going to happen from this point on? Even our own religions stop here at this, at Aquarius. That's it. What's next? What's next? What's next? I guess we need another Messiah, and I would jump into that spot if it's needed. But, I'm just teaching parables without the parable. We're actually totally unveiling, like we are taking apart this beautiful Bible and learning its wonderful secrets. And what's the benefit of all this is connecting directly to God and knowing what that is. It should help you out right now to know that this God, there's only is a mother and a female, a two-party system. That's it. Get that in your head and learn that in order to get up here, you have to get in here somehow. That's how it works. You got to have this Bible. You have to. Wasn't that beautiful, that seventh thing? It's just like they make this whore out to be just, so convincing that you just can't, that everyone falls for it. Everybody falls for it. It's on every corner. And it talked about the silver. Again, this is that idea. This is what we use to communicate with God. You know, is our silver. It's represented as as this part of our body. Remember the story with there's like the four. You have the gold in the head. You know, it was somebody's dream, and he had silver arms. You know, and chest. Right, that's where the power is. That's the power. This is our part where we use our arm and the chest. You know, this is the working on the backbone. Basically, what we're talking about. This area, it's the power. And then there was brass for the stomach and the thighs. You know, this is the control area. This part here, that's where the control comes from. The lower, that's the lower side. And that's what happens with a lot of people. When we throw our silver into the street, that means to throw it outside, instead of exchanging the silver for gold. Once you bring it up here, that's all. That's what Enoch, they all came down here to teach us how to mine for gold, so that we would have a better world and make a better human being out of these people that lived on earth. Remember, all good things come from heaven. They had to come from up and down. They come from away. Through you. All right, so I hope you got something out of this. I love you very, very much. Do you know it takes like 3 to 4 hours to upload my stuff here to this non-biased group at YouTube? All right, anyways, I love you guys. I truly do. I hope you can understand me. I'll chat with you soon.